right. So, like I was saying before I started recording, is this like singles is a dear to my heart because I just love the fitness side of it, the mental, the strategy. I think there's more strategy just because there's a bigger court. So you can expose players' weaknesses a lot more, and you can also make adjustments, a lot more different types of adjustments than I feel in doubles. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't think a lot of people would agree with me, but I'm going to say it. So I have some universal laws just like I did in doubles. So if you haven't checked out my doubles webinar and you're watching this recording, check it out because I have the same platform or setup as I do in the doubles. So first thing is I found this. This is kind of, I'm going to verbally explain this. And if I need to like pull up a picture or something, let me know. But this is like a Brad Gilbert rule, actually. I'm pretty sure. Um, so when you're behind the baseline, now this doesn't count if you have a like and you like can hit the crap out of the ball and you're like really aggressive, but most of us are mere mortals and you can't really hurt people from behind the baseline. So you need to hit inside the line. So what I mean is after the ball bounces and hits inside the court, and then you look at where it goes after the second bounce. If it crosses the single sideline, that's considered an offensive shot. So if you can imagine me hitting a cross court ball and the ball goes in and then it bounces and it lands in the doubles alley, for example, that crossed the singles sideline after the first bounce. So therefore, that is deemed an offensive shot. Do not do that when you are behind the baseline. First of all, you don't have an angle to really push your opponent out. So basically there's not a lot of bang for your buck here because as you get closer to the net, the court widens and you can get further out, you can actually get out where like when you get closer, you can make the court wider by hitting more extreme angles, but you can't do that when you're further away. So that's what I mean by like when you're further away, just go down deep down the middle because there's no angles to be hit. Does that make sense? Good. Okay. So next one we're going to get into is, let's see here. All right. So if you're inside the baseline, obviously the opposite thing, right? I feel like we do not use angles enough at the recreational level. And even my high school kids we did approach shots. And I'm like, why don't we work on angles instead of just hitting straight ahead? You know, your opponent's already deep, but if you angle the ball, now you have a couple situations here for your opponent. First of all, your opponent's off the court. So now they're put into a position to have to hit an aggressive shot or a very defensive lobby shot because they need to get time to get back. Either way, both are in your favor because low percentage is the really aggressive shot and also high percentage for you if they hit a lobby ball. So both are really good for you. And, as you get older, hitting angles is great because people can't move as fast. So it's like, why not hit angles more? So let's pretend that you have a forehand and it's short. You're coming in on your forehand, you're a righty. If you hit down the line, it goes to the player's backhand, it's straight ahead. You keep the ball in front of you. Awesome. I love that idea. But why not angle it once in a while short so that your opponent's like in the doubles alley or even further out to get the next ball so that you have an open court to hit into. And that's what players do when they serve out wide in singles. Like you serve out wide to open up the court. You don't serve out wide in doubles because now you have your doubles partner that's at the net can't be as aggressive because they have to cover the line more. But when you in singles, you go out wide more because now you can expose your opponent's positioning and hit an open court, make them hit a running shot, right? Now, the other one that I think is very big is the drop shot. And we don't do that nearly enough. And it's like now your opponent, it just gets, especially when you have a lot of like you're getting like the example I had one of our top girls play singles, in the regionals today. And I would think she was 20% successful on approach shots. Didn't matter where she hit it. And it's like, well, your opponent is 5 feet behind the baseline waiting for you to hit it deep. Is you're already kind of like she knows you're going to hit it there, you know? So it's really hard to hit it by someone when they know that you're always going to be deep. But if you can hit a drop shot, which wasn't in our arsenal, obviously, so it's not something I could say as a coach. But if I could, I've been like, hey, she's deep, she's on the balls of her feet, or heels of her feet, like hit a drop shot once in a while. And Lori, you have a nice backhand slice. So I do too. And I would hit deep slice sometimes, but then that's an easy ball to hit a drop shot too. You just hit under the ball more and it looks just like a regular ball. So it's not like you have to change a grip, on a forehand. I have to change a grip. I have to do a lot of things and they can see it coming a little sooner, right? So that's why it's nicer to have, if you have a slice backhand, you can do it a little easier. But I really feel like drop shots are something people need to start practicing more to get good at it. And then, I mean, even drop shot lob. I mean, these are really like you just got to change the pattern once in a while, right? And then your approach shots get better, right? Like now they're like thinking you're moving in and now you hit it deep and now they're late. And I mean, so many good things happen. Okay. If you are approaching the net, hit to the backhand, I think, unless it's a tough approach, then hit down the line. So let's go to the backhand side, for example. I'm a righty and I'm playing a righty. So I have a backhand. Maybe I'll run around that backhand, hit an inside out forehand to my opponent's backhand. I'm not even in the court much now. So it leaves the court wide open, but it's their weakness. And I feel like a down the line backhand passing shot could be hard for them. And I'll do that once in a while. Or I'll hit my backhand cross court to their backhand. But if it's a ball that's really low or just a tough, I'm usually low because I didn't get to it in time, I'm not going to angle the ball because the ball is below the net and now I cannot be aggressive. So that's why I hit the ball in front of me. So I'll hit a slice, usually straight ahead, and you'll see that with the pros. Someone hits a pretty good drop shot, but not a great one. So their opponent didn't move forward. So you're running in to a drop shot. Your opponent is back. It's too good of them. You can't really do much with it. So they'll slice it straight ahead, and that covers your angles at least. Because you want to keep the ball in front of you in singles. In doubles, you have two people, so it's a little different, right? But in singles, keep the ball in front of you when you're at the net. In front of you when you're at the net. And I'll explain this more with some visuals. So I have some visuals that kind of explain the angles of the court. Okay. Stop me if you have any questions as I go through this. So if I'm going to hit a passing shot, so someone's at the net, you can like think about, I'm not talking about lobs and I'm talking about you have time and you want to hit a ground stroke. Okay. I always look to try to hit to cross court. And it's not just because it's low, it's a low part of the net, but the other part is if you can imagine, you got to use imagination because I don't have the videos for this, and you'll see I actually have some videos of rec players doing this. But if someone approaches to my backhand and I'm at the baseline and they're at the net, and I hit my backhand down the line, they now can have a forehand volley and they can hit it away from me. But if I hit that same backhand cross court, they have a backhand volley that they are just going to hit straight ahead. They can't angle the ball anymore. So now it keeps the ball between the two sidelines, and now I have a chance of getting it at least. So you'll see a lot of the pros, they don't hit down the line unless they're really going to hit a good ball. Down the cross court's like low cross court, it just takes away angles. So that's something to think about if you don't like to run a lot. Give and take ground. I think this is really important. And I need to remind myself of this too, but I am not Andre Agassi. I cannot hit the ball. I don't have the pure striking ability of hitting the ball on the rise like him. And he just hugs the baseline. If you remember him in the 90s, just hit everything at the baseline. He did not give him an inch to you, right? But, for us, we need time. So like if let's go with the defensive, like you hit a defensive shot and your opponent's going to hit it hard, back up a little, give yourself time. I should be able to stand at the sideline of a good tennis player and know if they're on the offensive or defensive end of a rally. And they can switch. So if they hit a weak ball, they're going to naturally move back a little because now they need more time. Their opponent's going to hit the ball harder. And then they're starting hitting better balls. So I'd say they hit a good ball. Now they're moving in because they know now they're offensive. So it's like understanding the situation. I'm not saying after the fact, like somebody hits a hard ball and I'm backing up. No, no, no. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you already knew it was coming. You hit a ball where you knew your opponent's like, uh-oh, that's not where I should have hit it. Oops. I'm backing up and I'm going to play a little defense, right? So that's where you give and take ground. And then in the same thing, you hit a good ball, you're looking to move forward. So that's being proactive than reactive. I already mentioned this with angles, but serving out wide to pull your opponent off the court, especially if you're a righty, you can go out wide on the deuce court, which is used very well because a righty, if you do it well, and I know it's their forehand, you're serving the forehand, but if you do it well enough, you can make them hit a running backhand next shot. So they hit a forehand, they're in the doubles alley for pretend, and they hit it to you. You can hit that next shot kind of in the middle of the court, really. I mean, ideally down the line more like to the backhand side, but they're running now. And that's where you can even run in, come in after that. A running backhand passing shot ain't easy, especially as we get older, because our mobility isn't there. Like you got to get really freaking low. And I mean, it's tough. So that's an easy approach shot for you too. So serve out wide, look for the ball to be hit probably cross court to your forehand, hit that forehand down the line and come in and see what happens. I think that's very helpful. And the other thing I noticed that even pros have a hard time with because they don't play the net enough is that we hit cross court volleys way too much. Now in doubles, that kind of makes more sense. If you are cross court of the ball, you hit cross court, right? But in singles, that's not good because remember what I was saying is if you have a tough, like you can even see it on the third bulletin, is like if you have a tough approach shot hit down the line to keep the ball in front of you, right? Well, volley the ball to keep it in front of you unless you hit a good volley, because if you hit an angled volley and it's not good, the whole court is open now. The line is wide open. So don't hit a cross court volley unless you are offensive and you're going to put the ball away or really make it tough for them to hit it. Otherwise, the court's too open for them.
Ben, a quick question, basic dumb question. I'm just not 100% sure what a passing shot is.
Yeah, no, sorry. So a passing shot is when you're trying to hit a ball by somebody that's at the net.
Oh,
Okay, so you're
okay.
approaching the net and
Okay.
you are trying and you have to get it by this person. Like now you could lob it, but I'm like, that's the obvious one. If you
Okay.
do, and a side note, if you do lob, always lob to the backhand side. A backhand overhead is really tough, right? So know if they're a righty or lefty, and I just know my targets, for the lob, right? Any
Okay.
other questions?
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So tips on singles. So here's my video. I'm going to start off just little tips and I'll stop it every once in a while. But these are recreational 3-5, 4-0, women and men, some beginners actually that I thought was pretty good too. And just throwing some tips out there. So let's see what we got here. So tip number 1. Control the point with an inside out forehand. I'm going to explain this real quick. So if this is only if you're playing a righty versus righty or a lefty versus lefty, because if I have a backhand, just imagine someone's hitting to your backhand. Instead of hitting that backhand, run around and hit your forehand. Now that's your inside ball. It's going towards you now, not away from you, because you ran, like hopefully you can envision this. And I'll show the video of it too. So let's take a look at this. So the guy over there likes his forehand. So right there, he hit a ball to the guy's backhand, right? Hard ball. Where do you think this guy's going to hit his backhand? The most generic area, cross court. Cross court. Okay, so he hits another ball. Okay, so he's trying to move him around a little bit, right? Now there it is. So when you hit down the line here, he's probably going to hit cross court again, right? This is where this guy can now hit down the line to the guy's backhand, which he does right here. But now look where he stands. He's just there because it's a cross court ball. He can stand there because this guy is not even in the picture. It's really going to be really hard for him to hit an outside ball. It's going away from him and hit a backhand down the line. So the ball comes back to him. See, right back to him. Look at that, right back to him. So he can control it. So again, inside out. See, he could have hit his backhand, but he ran around it a little. I mean, he's not like fast, like, okay, but you know, he's looking at his forehand. It's on the backhand side. And if you keep hitting it to the guy's backhand, this guy, if you hit it good enough, they're just going to hit it. I mean, I know this because people do it to me. I'm not going to be able to change the direction of the ball. And if I do, it's going to be weak and they're going to slam it cross court. It's not good. So I have to hit it cross court. And eventually you can just take control. See, look, where is he now? In the doubles alley, right? He's going to hit another forehand. And then he moves them to the inside court. Boom, done, right? So you can see that in the high level. Let's just watch a pro now. Okay, a little faster, right? So as soon as, right there, this guy hit a really good backhand. You can tell by Rublev's body posture. He's bent over. You could barely get it over, right? What do you think this guy's going to look to do now? Hit a forehand because he knows he's going to hit cross court. So boom, there's his forehand. You're rewarded when you hit that's why I think a backhand cross court is super important because then you're able to, because Rublev was late. He hit the ball down the middle a little bit. Now you have your forehand, which is your weapon, and it's going inside to you. So you have more leverage on the ball when the ball is going towards you. You guys can see my cursor, right? Okay. Because if the ball is going away from you, that's harder to control. But this is going towards him, so he can hit it anywhere he wants. Boom. Like that. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Okay. Another thing rec players don't do, I think, enough is know when your opponent's going to be in trouble. So this guy's serving. So automatically you got to be thinking either defensive or offensive. I don't know how good your serve is, but for me, I'm always looking to be offensive on the first serve, defensive on the second serve. So that's his first serve for sure. That's a pretty good serve to his backhand, right? Okay, so right here, that's a pretty darn good ball he just hit, right? He just hit a slice ball. The guy's on the run, and watch the guy just stand there. Like he's literally just walking. And he's going to hit. Do you think this guy's going to hit a really good ball? Look at the ball. It's at his ankles. And ta-da, he didn't hit a good ball. And he won on a weak ball. I hate it when people hit a dog. Like that's not good, right? So just know when you're in control, move in faster. He could have gotten that if he moved in faster, okay? This is the one we talked about, approach down the line to cover your angles or backhand if it's much weaker. Just a little side note, at the rec level especially, if you hit a deep backhand to someone's backhand, they're going to lob most likely. So don't get in too tight. You're going to have a high volley or an overhead if you do it. So let's watch, see what I mean? Okay, there's the pro. He hit a short ball. Here it comes, right? So he's going to hit a nice deep ball to the guy's backhand. He has a one-handed backhand and it's deep. What do you think's going to happen? Weak. See, he just chipped at it, right? But he didn't move back, and I mean he's standing right in here. I would have been like, I wouldn't have been moved at all, to be honest. I mean, he did hit an okay override, but it could have been a lot better, right? So it's like this one. Deep. Wait, what is he going to do? Look, the guy's running backwards. What do you think he's going to do? I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? I think. Look where he's standing. He's 3 feet from the surface, like the net. I mean, I would have hit that approach if it was me. Right there, I hit the approach. I would have stopped my momentum and stand behind the service line. But instead, he gets lobbed. Right? And then he has to start the point over. He ends up losing the point just because he gave up positioning. Game over. Yeah. Okay. Same thing with the women's too, you know? Deep to the back. Okay, what do you think she's going to do? Running backhand. Starts with an L, ends with a B. Lob. Right? I mean, come on. You got to see this coming. See it coming. Right? The lob, when you hit it to someone's backhand, they are most likely going to lob. Right? So I think it's just understanding, even at the rec level, you can learn a little bit of this too. Like the patterns are similar in the pros and the beginners, right? Okay, so again, what do you think is going to happen right here? What's the only shot this person has, right? And also, just throwing this out there, where do you think the deepest part of the court is? Over here, where the girl in the orange is. I'll give you a hint. She's not standing in it. The deepest part is cross court, right? The hypotenuse of a triangle. It's deeper this way. So it's an easier lob when the person doesn't move over. So I just say back up at least, you know? So you can see all of this, right? Like, and like when you hit a high, like a backhand approach, it doesn't even like you get like this, does this guy look like in great position? Not really, but when you hit a good enough approach to the backhand, it's an easy floater. Look at him now. Easy floater.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it's just like understanding, like they did statistics here. You win the majority of your points by going to the backhand approach, not the forehand approach. You win way more, way more. So you might not win them all, and you got to keep them honest with a forehand once in a while. But I think that's a pretty good. This is a big one too. Keep your volleys deep unless you're trying to finish the point, which is an angle volley. So I see a lot of this where you're playing a point out and you don't hit the ball deep enough. Okay. So what I mean by that is you come in, okay, here's the approach. Okay. I like it. I like the slice of the backhand, no problem. But then this volley right here is what gets him in trouble. Look how short this is, right? Right. Look at him now. There's no chance he's going to react to this ball. No chance. Passing shot, boom. Right? Same thing here. So here we go. Up. We have a problem. She's already moving forward, and then you give her a short ball. Right? No time to react. This girl in the orange is totally going to dictate this point. Had 0 time, easy ball at the end. Okay? So you just got to realize when you hit a short volley like that, you're going to be in trouble. Boom, game over. Okay? Hit as many of your favorite shots as possible. You're not doing well with running. Oh my gosh, if you're feeling like you can't move well, hit, and you know, obviously you want to hit forehand. So this is actually 2 beginner players, and I think beginner players do it really well because they realize how bad that usually their backhand is, especially for guys. So they're gonna, and young guys can move well, but I'm just saying this could go for anybody. Like, watch how many forehands they hit. Forehand, like could have been a backhand, right? That's a forehand. Forehand, that's a backhand volley, but look, he ran around it to hit there, right? So you're like, hit his, like, look at that. He's running around his like there, forehand.
No.
And then like when you do that, he is way back here and he's pressured to try to hit it to this guy's backhand, but he's standing like way over here. It makes the target so much smaller, and that's why he missed. If this guy was staying in the middle of the court, it'd been a lot easier for him to hit it to the backhand. So look to hit more forehands, you know?
Great rally.
All right, so we want to stay offensive by moving forward and taking the time away. I think that's key. You don't have to hit it hard, but take time away. This is one thing this lady does in the blue. Watch her standing. She's like in no man's land a lot of this during this point a lot because she's moving. She's going to move to the ball and dictate the point. See how where's she standing right now? She's not hitting the ball hard, by the way, which I like because I don't like it when we watch players like, I can't do that, coach. They're hitting the ball too hard. Just taking time away, right? Took it in the air, right? Here, moving in again, taking time away. Up. She didn't back up too much. Took time, right? She's hugging the baseline. Hit on the rise if she has to. Taking time, moving in, like, and then boom, finishes the point with a little drop shot, right? So it's just like, can you, and you can see that she does it again on the backside. She's just constantly like taking the ball early. Like even this ball, see how she took it, boom, didn't let it bounce. And then this one, could have let it bounce, boom, won the point. I mean, it's just taking time. Like she's not hitting great balls, by the way. I don't think. I think these are all doable. Look, she takes time away. Takes time away. So hard when you keep taking time away. You know, right here, time away. These aren't really hard balls, by the way. Hitting them in the air, time away. time away. Like, yeah, right. But then, I'm just saying, like, I think it's really important you doing that. Taking air off the ball, missed a little typo there, but taking air off the ball. So this is something pros, women should do really well, because one thing about, I'll stop this real quick. Women have a harder time with higher balls than men do, just because of where our strength is. Women have more strength in the hips, men in the chest. So if you can work on loopy balls, you can get back into the court when you're in trouble. So notice that when you're in trouble, you'll see like they'll start throwing the ball a little higher like that. And then look, what'd she do? She backed up. So let's rewind that really quick here, just to make sure. Look where this girl is. She just hit a really good ball, right? She's enough. And look, who do you think should win this point right now? I mean, she's in the doubles alley. She's on the baseline. She's in great shape, but she lobs the ball up. She lost positioning now, right? Which works really well. When you take air off the ball, meaning like raise it up, you really can be aggressive. And you like, again, taking air. See, she backed up a little, right? But then you hit it deep. That happens to her. She was standing too close to the baseline, right? Like on here, look where she's standing, and then couldn't do it. Couldn't handle it. Okay. So just kind of throwing that idea out, that higher balls when you're in trouble can really help you get back into the point. And also hitting the ball deep, right? Like on that person. Any questions so far? Pretty good. Okay. When you hit a good drop shot, come into the net. And I'll explain right now. When you hit a good drop shot, okay, so here's one by a pro, because rec players don't do this nearly as much. So it's hard to find footage of rec players doing this. But this guy just hit a drop shot, okay? All right. So he didn't hit a great drop shot. This guy's going to hit a forehand, a top spin forehand. So he didn't move in because the ball's too high. And if he stood at the net here, this guy could hit it by him super easily. So he stayed back. So he got back. See, he got back into the point. He was able to hold it. Okay. And then he does another one. But this time it was much better. He recognized it as good. So he ran in. So what can this guy do now with a backhand at his knees? He can't hit over it. He has to slice it. So when you slice a ball, that's what I was saying, like when you're at the net or you're at the, like playing doubles, don't slice when people are at the net, because it's too easy for them to hit a volley, because you got to come over the ball to take time away, right? But he couldn't. He sliced it. So what did that allow this guy to do? Oh, put it away, right? So when you hit a nice drop shot, the only thing this guy over here, the guy in the green, Rublev, could have done is hit a short ball to beat him. But because he moved in, so Fokina, he moved in as soon as he had a good approach, because he knew that he can't hit the ball hard. So there's no way of like, I don't need to be at the baseline because I don't have to worry about him hitting, like he's not going to hit it hard. So the only thing that he would be worried about is a short ball. So he's ready for the short ball to put it away. That's exactly what happened.
Defining a good versus a weak drop shot, Ben.
So when somebody is hitting a ball, like sometimes you can't recognize it till it's too late, right? But usually you can kind of tell. But when somebody is hitting a ball like knee high or lower, I think that's a time where you should think about moving in. But if you see them hitting the ball waist high or chest high, that's not a good time to move in, because they can hit the ball. The net is no longer an obstacle for them. They can hit the ball hard. Okay.
Your last example as well, Ben, I think if the guy would have been on the baseline, it would almost seem like he would have lost the point, because he was hitting his only chance to hit the ball back was to slice it and then not to put a lot on it. And I don't know if the guy on the baseline would have been able to get to it.
Right. So this drop shot right here, let's say he stayed there. Whoop, I'm sorry. Let's go back. We'll go back to that. I pushed the wrong button. We'll go back. So if he stayed, I'm going to go right to that spot again. Let's just say he stayed in that position. Let's see. I think it's right in here. Yeah, right there. Okay. So he hits the drop shot, right? Okay. Let's just pretend he stays right there.
Yep.
So this guy he could angle a short ball right here or a short ball right here, and he'd have to run in. And now he's in trouble because he can't hit the ball hard. But
Right.
because he's standing here, Rublev can't hit it hard because it'll go long, and he can't hit it short because he's standing right there. So he doesn't have a lot of options. So he kind of just tries to keep it in front and tough break.
Yeah.
So hit the on the line only when you are hitting a good ball. So what I mean by that is cross court, like when you hit cross court, you want to make sure that, like, if you're in this position, you hit down the line like Rublev just did, it better be a damn good ball, because look where he's standing. What could Fokina do if he gets to this ball? He can hit it cross court away from Rublev now. So he has to hit a good ball. So he didn't. See what happened? Now he's on the run. But these are world-class athletes, so he can get to it. But, you know, just throwing that out, that was not easy for him. So what happened is he hit down the line instead of cross court, because we can even rewind this a little bit. You can see that, watch them hit the first couple balls. Okay. Okay. Look where he's standing. He didn't have to move much because he hit the ball cross court. Okay. Rublev didn't have to move much either because he hit the ball cross court. And I'll show this in another video with angles, but you want to be cross court of the ball to cover your biggest angles, right? But as soon as you hit down the line, you don't hit a good enough ball, because see how that's going towards the center of the court, not like away. Now he's got the whole court to open up. Boom, right? Okay, so now he's going to hit down the line here. Not good enough. So now he's on the run. He's not good enough. Like, you got to see, like, that's the problem here, is like the cross court. Until you got to hit a good ball cross court or down the line, otherwise you're in trouble, right? So watch this one right here. Okay, that was the problem right there. So he's standing here, right?
Yep.
He's going to hit down the line. Do you think that's a great idea right now? Look where he's standing. So now the ball can go away from him. If he hit cross court, at least the ball wouldn't go away from him. It would go towards him or like here, and he could get to it. But he went down the line, and now he could hit it behind him because he was thinking, oh crap, I have all this court to cover. So you can hit down the line. Like if someone hits down the line on you and they think you're going to hit cross court, you can hit behind them too, which is a very effective strategy. But you got to wait for someone to hit down the line on you, because now they're out of position. And you'll see that more as we go. So here's a good one I like. So when someone hits cross court balls and they don't hit a good enough cross court ball, you got to make them pay. All right. So that's a good cross court. Oh, that's not so good. Make them pay when they don't hit a good cross court ball. So I'll kind of show you what that means right there. He's standing in the middle. He hit a cross court ball. Tried to. So this guy tried to hit it to the guy in the gray's backhand, but was late. So it went to his forehand, kind of down the middle of the court. And now he can like take offensive to the shot. Now he didn't hit it. Okay. So now he was able to hit a good defensive ball. He was managing to make it happen. And now, did this guy hit a good ball cross court? No, he hit down the middle. Easy put away. Boom. This will make more sense on this video. The video, just the angle's a little better. All right, so right there, let's go back to what just happened. So when you hit a cross court ball, okay, good. Now this guy needs to hit it cross court back, right? We already said hitting down the line is risky. He tried. Trust me, I do this too. He tried and he was late. So that means the ball's in the center of the court right there. Okay. When the ball is in the middle of the court and he tried to hit cross court, this guy's got to make him pay. So when you hit a good cross court ball and the ball doesn't go cross court to you, they're a little late on the ball, like what just happened here. You should be able to take control of the point, which he does. It's a great ball. Okay. So again, that one was a little fast, but again, he hit a good return. I'll stop it right. Sorry, this one did. All right, right here. So he hit a serve and then he hit a weak return in the middle. not cross court, kind of went here, so he could take control of the point now. Do you kind of see what's going on? When you hit a ball not cross court, the line is wide open now. But if you hit a ball that was over here, that ball is now harder to hit in that area. So he was able to hit into the open court, boom, game over. All right. I just want to stop with this, and I'll do some videos to show the angles that all of these points will make more sense in a minute. But I do want to mention that winning comes from being ordinary. Between the extraordinary. So let's say you start the game and you ace somebody, which I've seen today as a coach. And then they double fault twice. And then they play another amazing point. Now it's 30 all. And then they miss a backhand, an easy backhand cross court and a muff volley. They had two aces and they lost the game. Why? Because they weren't steady. So it's not winning comes from being steady between the points. Okay. So it's really important you guys understand that you have to be, it's not about the amazing down the line winners and the gets. It's who's missing the routine shots more will lose. Very important we understand that. Okay. Questions so far?
Yeah, I think you made the point before, Ben, that it's not one point that is going to lose the entire match for you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got many points, so this kind of reinforces that as well. That you may just get discouraged because of 1 point, but it's only 1 point out of an entire match.
Exactly. And years ago, I actually I remember this vividly. I was playing a match. And I was a little younger, so I'm a little animated, we had a good rally and I hit a winner at the end of like a 20 ball rally. I'm like, come on, like excited. It was not against my opponent. It was just me being me, right? The next point he serves and I miss the return. He's like, come on, and I'm like, yeah, they're worth, you know what I mean? Like he's just saying, dude, they're worth the same. Calm down, and I get it, it's like, yeah, that's probably what makes sense, right? The ordinary wins. Okay. All right. This video, I'm going to let you just listen to it first, but just to reinforce what it is, I have balls representing, like, you got to remember this. I can't set up two different scenarios at the same time, but we're pretending someone's hitting the ball on the left side of the court on the other side of the net. So I'm hitting like a cross court ball maybe, or I'm hitting a down the line backhand or a cross court forehand, but it's going over there. Okay. My opponent's about to hit it. These are the two extreme angles. They can hit it there, or the person could hit it along this line. Okay. That's the premise of this. So you can understand.
All right. I'm coming to the net. Let's say I hit the ball to the ad side and I'm coming in. Okay. Now these angles don't change for my opponent, right? My opponent can still hit a cross court ball to the right, and then they could also hit down the line here, right? So this is indicating that as I get closer, though, notice that the angles, the distance between the two sharpest angles, for the most part, are closer and closer, right? So if I'm going to stand here at this spot, not too close to the net, right? Then I have a bigger distance to cover between the two lines, right? But if I get closer, notice that I'm between the two extreme angles, and I can reach both of those spots a lot easier if I'm closer. So the further away I am at the net, the more court I'm giving up, right? So
I remember this, as I play. Sometimes I'll hit an approach shot too hard, and I'm standing behind this orange cone, for example, and I'm coming in, and my opponent hits a routine cross court ball and I can't get to it. It's like a huge target. And I couldn't get to it because I am so far away from the net that the angles are too wide for me to get, right? But when you get closer and closer, that same angle that is over here is a lot closer to you when you see how the distance between the two balls are, right?
Yep.
If you see that as I back up, notice the distance gets further and further away, right? So that's why even on serve returns or anything, like if I have someone hit a out wide shot on me, the closer I get, the less they can pull me off the court. But as I back up, notice that it gets further and further away. So when you are coming to the net, you got to keep in between the two sharpest angles. So at the baseline, I told you, cross court of the ball, right? Here's the orange indicator,
I'll get to that in the next video in a second, but this is like the approach shot one.
right? At the baseline. But if I'm coming to the net, if I go straight ahead, I'm giving up a huge part of the line. If I just stand like right in here, I'm not in between the two sharpest angles. That's why I need to be here. And if I get closer and closer, now I am between the two sharpest angles. I'm going to be able to cover it. Now, the only problem is you're close to the ball now. So your time to react would be a little harder. But that should show you that is why you get close, because it's harder for a player to hit the ball by you because the two sharpest angles you're closer to. Okay.
Hope that made sense. Cool. All right. So not in the right order, I guess, but this one's the other one. Okay.
All right. I'm coming to the net.
Here we go. All right.
All right. The next thing I want to show you is the perspective of the opponent over here. These are the two angles I could hit. See the balls? Those are the two shots I can hit the best on this side of the court. Now, obviously, if I go to the left side, the angles change, right? If I go over here, then they switch. But this is the spot I'm telling you about. So if my opponent is standing, like if they hit a ball and they're standing over there and they hit a ball down the line, right? Now my best angle, I can hit away from them and make them move, right? So a player hitting down the line to me is not very good if they don't hit a great shot, because I can now make them move and hit away from them and make it tough on them, right? Now, if they're standing over to the left side over here and they hit towards me here, now they're standing in between the two sharpest angles. They're like right over there. See the cup?
So that's like where my finger is, basically, is right where you should be standing when you are receiving a ball at the baseline, cross court of the ball. Because see how I can pull this player out on the left side here, but I can't here. I can't make my forehand down the line mysteriously go to the right. I can't curve it. If you can, show me how. That'd be amazing, right? It's straight. So if you're standing at the baseline at the little hash mark in the middle, you're not between the two sharpest angles. You got to be a little bit cross diagonal of the ball you just hit, because the person can hit a cross court ball that gets you in the doubles alley or even further away if they hit a sharp enough ball. So that's why you never want to be at the middle unless you're hitting the ball down the middle in singles. But that also should show you why, if this person's standing here where this line is of the balls and hits down the line, look how far they have to go before I hit the next ball to get in position. Pretty far, right? But what if they stand where the finger is and they hit cross court? Guess how much movement they have to do? Nada. So it's all about moving, right? Moving shots are harder than non-moving shots. Just the reality of it, right? So that's where you want to make your opponent move. And the problem is, if the person hits, like they're standing where the finger is and they hit a cross court ball, yeah, you can go down the line to make them move a little bit, but the problem is you got to move a lot more now. So that's why down the line isn't the greatest shot to hit unless you're hitting like a good ball. That's all.
So they're in position to cover the two sharpest angles. So that's why hitting cross court, they can just stand there and they're already there. But if they hit the ball down the line, say they're over there and they hit their ball down the line, they're not between the two sharpest angles. Now it's easy to pull the player out wide, or if the player, you see them running over there to cover the two angles, right? They have to run over there now because they have so much more court to cover. Now you can hit it down the line behind them and make it hard for them to get the ball too. So that's why cross court is the safest shot and easiest to cover, so you don't have to run as much.
All right. Hopefully that made sense, but I'm going to end it with a recap.
All right.
So let's recap this. All right.
All right, let's recap this real quick. So the idea is at the baseline, as you can see, I want to be between my two sharpest angles. So if I'm hitting a ball straight ahead, backhand down the line, or if I'm hitting a cross court forehand over there, I want to stand here to cover my two sharpest angles. Now, the thing is, if I hit a forehand cross court, it's pretty safe for me because, there's other reasons other than this, but I am standing in the two sharpest angles. I don't have to move much,
So
right?
watch.
I hit a ball across court. I'm
See how they're
kinda
hitting cross
Now, if
courts and
I'm
they're
over
not
here,
having
it's
to
a little
move much?
riskier to hit down the line, because if I don't hit a good down the line shot, they can pull me off the court, right? So I have to hustle my butt over here,
There it is.
cover
Now
that,
they're in trouble.
the two sharpest angles, okay? Now, when I'm coming to the net though, I have to understand that I'm not going to just, we're all assuming I'm hitting the ball over in that corner, okay? Now, if I just run straight ahead, I notice that I'm not between the two sharpest angles here. And that's why these cones indicate where I should be standing. So I always follow the ball when I'm playing singles. So if I'm hitting the ball either down the line, or if I hit cross court and I'm coming in, I'll want to get to those cones. Now, that is why we want to hit an approach shot down the line here. So if I hit an approach shot down the line, I'm kind of in between the two angles a lot faster than if I came from an angle from over here. So if I'm hitting a ball over in this corner and I'm hitting a cross court shot as an approach shot, I'm not really between the two sharpest angles very, very well. I got to get here and I'm leaving a court wide open. Now, that doesn't mean it's not effective. It can happen. It's a great shot to do sometimes, but not all the time, right? Now, this is a safer shot because if I hit a backhand, if I'm here and I have a backhand, if I hit cross court, again, the angles, I'm not between the two angles, but if I hit down the line, I'm kind of between the two angles already. So that's why approaching down the line makes a little more sense to keep the ball in front of you and cover the two sharpest angles. Not that cross court's not a good shot, but it's just you're giving up more court and it can be risky. But hitting to the weaker side, like if I hit my backhand cross court to my opponent's backhand, if they're a righty, that might be a better shot for me, even if I am giving up more court. So you just have to figure out, who your opponent is. But talking about the geometry of the court, the safer shot for an approach shot is down the line, so you can see where I'm covering the court. And as I get closer, notice that I am now between the two sharpest angles. And look, I can get to both of them with like one step. But as I back up, I can't get to both of those. And as I back up even more, it gets harder and harder for me to cover the angles, makes it easier for my opponent to hit an easy passing shot up. All right.
So, questions on that? So I feel like once you know the geometry of the court and like time, like how much time you have, everything kind of makes sense more, right? And especially even in doubles too. So that's kind of why I wanted to show the video of like the angles, because that really is kind of more eye-opening for people to go, oh, got it. Now I know where to stand. And like if I hit this ball, I know what I'm risking versus what I'm getting out of it, right? So that's the idea. Always appreciate joining those are watching this recording. I hope they enjoyed it. Do want to stop for any questions though, if we have any. So any questions? It's probably a lot to digest.
Yeah, I have to think about,
Yeah, I
read
get
through
it.
notes again.
Yeah, I understand. It's a lot. The more you play and the more you start, I mean, I think it's just like you start seeing patterns, and if you can relate it to the geometry of the court and then go, wow, that person defied the laws of geometry, that's okay. Some people can do that once in a while. It's okay, but like play the percentages based on like the court coverage and you'll be off and running on, playing your best tennis. I just think sometimes we think that's like the norm and it's actually not, so just play the percentages.
So if you were, and I think it seems to me with some of the beginner players, Ben, that they tend to lob the ball a lot. They seem to hit the ball really kind of high, doesn't have a lot on it. But if you were playing somebody like that, it seems to me that your best place may be kind of right near the service line to be able to react to something that they may hit that just comes over the net, or a longer lob that you may be able to hit an overhead. Is that
if they don't hit it hard and they lob the ball a lot, it's a lot easier to move forward than backwards. That's just human. Like people don't go jogging backwards, right? So if they can't hit a ball by you unless it's over your head, if I'm assuming you're coming to the net, then I would suggest that you don't move in too much, just knowing you're probably going to hit a high ball, right? And just because if you get too close, you have no chance. Now, the only problem is on a high ball, if it's not high enough, you don't have any angles. So you got to make sure you don't like let it drop. You want to hit it high so that the higher the ball, the better angles you have to put away a ball, right? Now on a rally, if they're lobbing a lot of balls, right, it's really hard to do anything offensive with that. So what I would suggest is like high back, but to the backhand side as best you can. And try to avoid hitting.
Because then they can't get under it to lob it.
Well, it's just hard to, I think giving you a high backhand is just hard. It usually ends up with a short ball. I'm just trying to entice you to hit a short ball. You know, if you
Yeah,
hit high deep balls, I'm not going to be able to do much, right? So, you know, but also if you have time and it's going to your backhand side and it's deep, hit a forehand. You know, like if it's really tough, if you have time, right? Because that's the tricky part when you're playing, you know, slower meatball type of shots, right? You tend to stand still too much. So try to like not let that ball keep you from moving. Try to hit your favorite shot, right? Like that was one of the tips is and I think forehands are just, everyone should have a weapon. And I think forehands should be the weapon mainly. You have a longer lever and you just have an opportunity to open up the court more with a forehand than a backhand, you know?
So really part of it, I think you mentioned earlier, Ben, was maybe in simple terms, you want to keep your opponent kind of guessing a little bit too. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to get into a pattern so much that they know what you're going to do every single time. So that's why, and again, you mentioned this, I just don't see that people use the drop shots very often, you know, certainly beginner players. I don't think they're as skilled probably at doing that. But anything to kind of throw your opponent off. I mean, throw in a lob once in a great while or something if they're up at the net, and then it keeps them guessing instead of just cross court, and then waiting for somebody to make a mistake. You know, waiting for them. So
It gets harder to win points the more you use the same pattern. So you just have to know though that you pick those times carefully. So what I mean by that is if I'm up 40 love, I'll serve and volley. Why not? You know, I'll drop shot. But at 30 all, I don't think I'm going to drop shot if I haven't drop shotted much, right? But if that's your shot, sure, right? Well, like
Yeah.
I think it's like you got to be smart about when to change the patterns and not do it at love. You don't want to go down love 15. You don't want that pressure, right? You do your best stuff in the beginning. Okay, you're up a lot. You know, okay, throw up some stuff. Why not? Just get them, and then they're like, then they don't maybe even realize the pattern you are doing because they're so in tune going, that guy just serve and volleyed. I've never seen that. He's going to do it every time now. And it's like, no, just once in a while, you know? So that's really good that you mentioned that for sure. Cool.
Great.
Good. Well, of course, I'll
Thanks,
have it
Ben.
recorded. Yeah. And I'm just hoping it helps. Feel free to download it, share with anyone if you need to, or have them join the platform. But I always appreciate seeing you guys, and I will keep throwing out some quality webinars. So hopefully it helps you guys improve. But I really appreciate talking to you. It's always a pleasure. So thank you.